welcome to the Book Bar. I'm Justin. With me tonight is Jeremy from Templar Pops. And Templar, tonight we're talking Book of Boba Fett, which is really Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Are we talking about the Book of Boba Fett tonight, or are we talking about something completely different?
I think we're talking about something completely different, honestly.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, let's talk about what's on tap. I don't know if you're drinking tonight or not, but if you are, what do you got?
I have some locally brewed. This is Farmhouse Red Ale.
I like Farmhouse Red Ales.
Yes. And this is brewed about 40 minutes from where I am, and this company just started bottling and canning their beer, so they're super excited.
Nice. Is it just called Farmhouse Red Ale? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Well, where's the clever punny beer name? What's up with that?
I don't know. They're not into it. The other one that they have is just stout. That's it.
And they go, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think like they had a marketing meeting and they sat down and they were like, what should we call the stout? And some guy was like, call it stout. And they were like, done. You know,
believe it or not, they had a contest. They had a contest for people to name the beers, and that's what they came up with. Stout.
It's solid.
Well,
Stout and Farmhouse Red Ale. It's very descriptive.
Yeah.
I've got myself some bells from, I believe it's Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I'm not from Kalamazoo, Michigan, but Michigan. So I've got the lighthearted ale. It's the two-hearted version. It's like the low-cal, low-carb version because I'm, watching my girlish figure. But I've also got their official hazy IPA. I'm not a huge IPA guy, but I like the low-cal IPA. I love the hazy, like the juicy hazy IPAs. So I'll be going back and forth between those tonight. So let's see what we got. What's going on, Jeremy, Pop, Sith, and everybody else who's jumping on? So we're talking Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, a.k.a. Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, Episode 5. And so, Templar, I'll let you go first. Initial reaction. What did you think?
Well, immediately I was like, wow, this is cool. This is another different environment in Star Wars as the opening expanded. Meat room. I'm like, that's really interesting. We're seeing a lot of behind the scenes in Star Wars, So we're in this meat room, and the tension's building. I'm like, the camera shots are different, the color is different, everything's different about the scene. I'm like, what is going on? This might actually be good, and it was. However, it was the Mandalorian that appeared out of nowhere. I don't even know if there are any leaks on that. If they didn't get that leaked, that they did a great job, but that blew me away immediately. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were kind of hinting at it because they were playing Mando's music in the last episode a couple of times when I think he was supposed to be in the background of where Boba was, when he came there the first time and then they found Fennec Shand. So I think they were setting up that he was going to have an appearance. I did not think they were going to have an entire Mandalorian episode. Right.
And it was amazing. It was so good.
It was. And so the beginning, we're in the Rocky meat locker, thing, practicing. And so at first I'm like, okay, when is this? Is this before Grogu, after Grogu? When is this happening? And then we quickly find out he's got the Darksaber, right? And what I loved about that scene when he goes in for the bounty, the reason I loved it is because Mando was a little clunky. And he got hit and beat up a few times. And he actually cut himself with the Darksaber. Because Tyler and I have complained about this so many times that we get that Jedi would not hit themselves with a lightsaber because they have the Force and intuition and all those things. But when Finn or someone else who's, of course, Finn is maybe Force sensitive now, but when random people pick it up, you're just how do they not just slip or drop it and cut their leg off by accident? And he actually does. He actually hits his own leg by accident.
Lightsaber right through the chin. What's this do?
I know. Whoops. How does that not happen more often? It should happen more often. Yeah. But so I like that scene. I loved how they were acting normally. You know how some of the complaints were in those fight scenes earlier when only one person attacks at a time, and it's come on, just. Wouldn't you guys all just mosh him and jump him? But in this one, somebody jumps on him and other people are shooting him in the back, but he has the iron. So everyone's acting rationally and everyone's teaming up on him. And so I liked it. And they actually, for Disney, they showed the guy getting cut in half.
I know.
I was very surprised.
Yeah, I was too. When he raised the saber, I'm like, there's no way they're going to show that. And then
they're going to cut away.
Holy cow. They cut the guy right in half. That was so cool. So that was literally the first time. I take that back. I think what this escape from the Sarlacc pit was pretty exciting for me, regardless of the rest of the episodes. But that was an exciting scene that made me stand up and yay, that was awesome. First time.
You talking about the Sarlacc escape?
No, the lightsaber.
Oh, the dark saber one. Yeah, that was cool. So it starts off right away, and that's great. It was a cool opening scene. He injures himself, but he gets, and like, not just the lightsaber, but for Disney, I was very surprised. But he was like walking around with the guy's head in a bag. I really was shocked that they were showing that much. Do you know what I mean? But
they kind of made the Mandalorian up to be a little bit of a nice guy, and then next time we see him, it's just like episode 1 all over again. He's just like, get in the box. I'm not messing around. Just get in the box.
Yeah, he did the same thing. Take you in hot, take you in cold. Maybe gives the epic line.
Yeah,
and he's like, without Grogu, he's just back to doing bounties. Yeah, right. Although apparently not for money. It seemed like he was looking for info to try to find his people.
Right. I think he was looking for the location of the armorer and who was left of them. Yeah.
Right. And so the only thing as this thing progresses, right? So I'm like, okay, we're going to cut after the opening credit thing pops up after that scene. I was expecting us to cut back to Boba Fett, right? I'm thinking we're going to go back to Boba, find out what he's doing, and they're going to kind of set up the interplay or the interaction, right? Where like they're going to meet up, and you're like, okay, you're going to see how they're going to meet up. Pop Missouri, what's going on? That Templar is the Green Ranger.
Not tonight. Not tonight. I'm just me tonight.
And Jeremy and Popsith drinking some Liquid Death. That's what he drank, I think.
Tasty.
One of the times he was on the show to do.
This is my backup beer. Check that out.
What is
my number 2? That's my number 2. This is a Rogue Dead Guy. This is one of the best ales you'll ever get. If you see this, get it. It's from
Dead Guy.
Yeah, it's from Oregon. It's from Oregon, and it's readily available. It's the best ale you'll ever have.
That kind of looked like Papa. Is it Papa Nihil? Papa Nihil?
Right.
Nihil, am I saying that right?
Right.
And I don't even know the band really. I just know of the Funko Pop, and that's why I even know who that is.
Right. It's one of the 47 members of the band Ghost.
Oh man. So then where do we go? Do we go to like that crazy sphere, that ring sphere thing?
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome.
I do too. I like that.
I heard a few people say it reminded them like of Halo or something. I never really played Halo.
I kind of thought that too a little bit.
I thought it was a really cool idea of that sphere circling around everything. And I really like that scene. And did you notice that they did like a static shot on Mando that like right before he like gets in the elevator or something, the shot goes on him and it never cuts away. It follows him into the elevator. It has that awkward scene, kind of reminded me of Spider-Man when Spider-Man gets in the elevator with some random guy and he's like looking at him. Yeah. And so he just kind of is looking at him all weird. And then he like cuts out and he walks out and the camera pans behind him. He has his interaction with the guy who gives him the big fish guy, right? Who gives him the information. And like the camera never pans away and he goes all the way back into the elevator, all the way down. Like it follows him a long time.
That's cool. Those single shots are not easy to do.
No. And it's a really cool shot. The only thing I would say is that part I feel like took too long. It seemed like it was a long time of him walking. You know what I mean? He was walking a lot. Too.
Yeah. And as he left we'll get to that later. There was another scene later on where he was walking quite a while. I'm like, I think probably just the first cut of the scene where he was walking out kind of said that, and then he walked some more. Okay.
Yeah. I think that would have been fine. But so in Mando season 3, episode 1, after this, right? Where does he go? He goes he meets the armor, right? So we see the armor again. She's a great character, like her. And apparently it's just her and the one, not Tar Vizsla, but the other Vizsla, the ancestor guy. And they're the only ones left, apparently. Yeah. And they go into a lot of exposition in this scene. So they talk a lot. You learn a lot. It again, kind of goes on for a little long, but he melts down the spear, right? Melts down the spear. So the Beskar spear is gone, and he uses it to make a nice little gift for Grogu. So what do you think he made him? Because it looked like they were showing little chains or something.
I watched that very closely again. At first it looked like a blade, then they showed chain link. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I thought maybe it was like a ball, a sphere, like remember you kept taking the sphere off of the.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking it was.
you
It was a
might be.
little ball.
I think you might be absolutely right.
Yeah.
I actually think that that's a great guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a weapon or armor or anything. It's just a sign of respect and love or whatever you want to call that bond that they have. It's part of their bond. You know, him giving up that Beskar means a lot to him, means a lot to his people. And him giving that as a gift to Grogu, even though if it was just a little sphere, he could do some damage with that, by the way. Like Magneto.
I was just gonna. That's exactly what that made me think of.
Right.
Magneto breaks out of like the plastic prison with all the little metal. Right. That scene was so great. I love that. Yeah. And then Sir Ian McKellen, he comes like floating out like this on that thing. Oh, that was such a great scene.
Yeah, Grogu is the destroyer of worlds with that little sphere. That's that what little they're building up to. Yeah, he's just like blows the planet up. We don't need a Death Star.
That'd be awesome. But I think you're right. I didn't think that at all, but I absolutely think you're right. That's probably what's in there because it's so small. Yeah. Just that little tiny little bag. Yep, I think you're right.
I think the chain link's a little misleading you just a touch.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless it's meant to be a necklace, like maybe it's a little necklace with the ball on the front.
That could be it. That could be it. I'm trying to think, did he get anything from Grogu along the way in those episodes that he collected? Like, did they exchange something? Or I think Grogu was just kind of on his own. I don't think he had jewelry.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think, I mean, like he ate frog eggs and he ate cookies. He stole cookies from kids. I think that's pretty much it. But
it's a Japor snippet.
It's Japor snippet. That's a good episode 1 trivia question.
It is.
Which has been asked on the show before.
Earlier. Pop Sith and I were talking about the Japor snippet. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. Please explain. Like, you know, that little thing.
Padme, come on. And the Japor snippet also appears at the end of episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, while she is being taken away after she has perished. So, fun little bit of trivia. This used to be a trivia channel. It used to be all we do.
At one point, we knew something.
We got to get back into it. Maybe do like we were talking about, maybe doing like Mando season 1, season 2, Boba season 1, like doing trivia competition. They wouldn't be as hardcore because it would be really hard to study for like full, you know, all the little details of the planets and characters. That'd be really hard to study for. So it'd have to be like high level trivia. But we were talking about doing that. I think that'd be fun. So they have a duel. The one Vizsla guy challenges them to a duel, and I had a feeling he was going to lose, which he does, but then he ends up winning anyways. So
yeah, that was weird too. That was a little weird.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those convenience things too. And yeah, Papa Missouri's right. We are absolutely talking about Star Trek. Yes, it's about a guy named
this one.
Dumbledore Calrissian, and
this one or this one.
And what he has to do is get the lightsaber back to Mordor in order to destroy it.
Yeah. And in a hurry. So
yeah, you know how like they take their jetpacks off in that fight, and then there's like apparently it's just a ledge and you fall off into space. That's what it looks like. And but there's this one little platform, and I always think it's so convenient that like the one time someone gets thrown off, they happen to be thrown off right on the little platform, and that's where it takes place. But
not into space where everything else was.
No, just in that one spot perfectly. He fell right there. But anyways, they had the little fight. That whole scene with the armor and the other guy, it took a long time, but most of it was pretty solid, I thought. A lot of backdrop, background about Moff Gideon, background about Bo-Katan, a lot of exposition, but
I like the lore about the saber itself and how it worked. It seemed to be different than the Jedi's lightsaber, or maybe not. Maybe the Jedi have to wield a lightsaber and maybe it's heavy for them too. Maybe the Force controls the movement of the lightsaber a lot more than we thought.
Now, that could be. And what I was wondering, too, is, and I don't know a lot about the lore of, like, the comics and the Darksaber, but, like, I wonder if they're kind of trying to say that, like, the Darksaber almost has, like, a soul, you know what I mean? Or something. That's a trope in, like, old fantasy shows and books where, like, the weapons have almost, like, a hint of evil. The one ring is poisoned, Right. And so it's like, yeah, maybe that's what they're hinting at, is that the Darksaber has a sort of aura, right?
Yeah. Well, they spoke of it having a curse on it. And if it wasn't wielded by the right person, it would bring destruction. And I think she inferred that it was Bo-Katan that was the person that shouldn't have wielded it and brought the destruction to the planet.
Yeah,
and that's really interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting.
So, but it would be weird if then Mando's fighting it, or is it fighting Mando? I don't know, because you have to assume Mando's the one, right?
Right.
He's the Neo, right, of the story. He's the one. He's the one who's going to restore peace to Mandalore. He's the one who's going to wield the saber. Blah 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 blah. But
kind of the Excalibur-esque kind of situation where the sword needs to earn the person needs to earn the sword to wield it, kind of situation.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they're getting at. But so where do we go from there? After that, does he go back to Tatooine?
Yeah, they disavow him, and he just gets on the bus, right?
That's right. And so the disavowing thing. So like, I got to ask you about this. What do you think about this? I thought it was so weird and out of place that just randomly, she's like, "Have you ever taken off your helmet?" Just randomly out of nowhere. Like, why would you even ask that? And then she's like, "You have to answer." And he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "Well, then get the fuck out of here." You know, like, that's it.
It's it was a little clunky, that spot.
Just out of nowhere. Have you taken off your helmet?
Well, I guess in order to make the story move forward, he was going to, they were like, "Oh, you're here now. You can help us rebuild." He's like, "No problem. I'll hang around." So, and then they're like, "Well, we've changed your mind. Now you can leave." So now the story can continue. Otherwise, we're going to continue with that story. There's no way to get back. There's no way to get back to Boba Fett from there. I'm like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to take him back there and make that interesting?
Yeah, so that's what the writers were like. But how do we get him out of there, though? And they're like, "Well, ask him if he took off his helmet, and then they'll banish him, right? And then he'll leave." And so, so the story can happen. Otherwise, it would just be like, "Okay, I've never taken my helmet off. Great, stay here with us. We'll do." End of the Mandalorian storyline. So yeah, I guess that's not very good storytelling.
The end.
Jeremy says he wonders if he's going to go to Mandalore in season 3. I assume yes.
I think that's the story they're setting up, and I think that story will continue with Thrawn and Ahsoka too. I think that's going to be intertwined.
Yes, I really hope so. I can't wait for the Ahsoka Thrawn. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that.
Well, we know a few things more about Mandalore, that it was part of the Purge. It was part of the Republic Purge. They destroyed. Am I wrong about that? That they purged the Jedi at the same time they were purging Mandalore, or did that happen earlier, before the events of Episode 1, or when did that happen in the timeline? Because it seems like it happened during Revenge of the Sith. I mean, no, that's not what I meant to say. I think it happened during the Clone Wars, or just after Revenge of the Sith, where the Empire took over, they purged the Jedi, and then they purged Mandalore. I think all happened. You're right. Yeah.
If anybody knows, put it in the comments and let us know, because I'm not 100% sure the timing, but I think it happened Din Djarin was a kid, right? Yeah. So 20 years, 30 years, and that would make sense in that timeline, I think, to be right around there. So
that's the huge question. Why was Mandalore and its people such a threat to the Empire, as big of a threat to the Empire as the Jedi, apparently?
Right.
They're going to have to destroy a whole planet in a much cooler way than we've seen before.
Yeah, I know. Really cool. I heard somebody say it had a real Terminator vibe to it.
Oh, I felt that way.
Yeah, because they had the security droids, the K2SO type droids, just walking around, looking and killing stragglers that survived.
They were obviously using some sort of atomic weapon, nuclear weapon of some sort. Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, that was a cool little scene, though. Yeah. But so then he's just like, I need to take the bus back to Tatooine, and so he just hops on the bus, and it was a little anticlimactic that he did that scene that they always do in movies. Where they have way too many weapons, and so it takes forever to you see that in movies all the time. Yeah. And so they have that, and it was fine. I can't believe the Darksaber was not missing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I
We're
thought
all waiting for to open that case.
Something's got to be gone, because then that is just fetch quest, the next fetch quest of now he's got to find the Darksaber, and maybe Boba says, help me and I'll help you find whoever took the Darksaber, right? I'm thinking, that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And then no, they actually have much better luggage travel than typical airlines do. It was locked right up. It was waiting for him when he got out, and everything was in there. So
So this was so well written, because the things like that, bits like that work, even though they're funny, even though everyone says we've seen this before. There's other scenes in this movie too where they pay homage to very classic movie scenes. We'll talk about one way later in the episode, but a bunch of times they do that. I love how they write that, but none of that existed in the first 4 episodes. Like, none of that good writing was there. It seemed rushed, like someone just wrote it out in an afternoon or something. And now they're bringing this epic story back into it. Like, what?
Well, we're almost done with the episode. Let's get to the episode, and then we'll talk a little bit about why I think we like this so much better. This episode, which, by the way, doesn't have Boba Fett in it. But so he gets the Tatooine. He goes back to the crazy lady who fixes his ship. I can't remember what her name is, but she's a funny character. She's got all the little pit droids. And she has, I don't know if you've ever played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I just recently had started playing it like a month or so ago. I beat it like a week or 2 ago. And there's a BD unit in there, which is the little droid of Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order. And I can't tell if that droid is just a BD unit or if maybe that is Cal Kestis's BD unit, BD1. Maybe that's supposed to be an Easter egg that we could see Cal Kestis as a Jedi appear in the show at some point.
Maybe he's hanging out, hiding there. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I think they're putting a lot of Easter eggs. Like, speaking of, I love this character. I thought this was the best scene with her. And it's really long, and I was thinking, man, this is going on way too long.
Yep,
but it works. There's a chemistry between them, and I really like her. She reminds me of a video game character. She reminds me of like an old video game where you had some real filmed cutscenes on like animation. That's what she reminds me of, is somebody I've seen that character in in a video game somewhere. Yeah, you know, it's just kind of she's very animated and very over the top, but in a fun way.
Yeah, but just like she just kind of has attitude, and but she's funny. It never seems like crazy over the top. It's just she's just kind of eccentric, you know, or whatever. And but yeah, I think it works. I like her character, and so they get she gets him a Naboo, like, is it the N1 starfighter? Is that the one it is?
Sick.
And for a minute there, I don't know about you, I kept waiting for some Easter egg or hint that was Anakin's.
Right.
The one
that's
that
what I was
Anakin
thinking
flew.
too.
And so then I was sitting there thinking, do we ever see it explode? We don't, right? Like, he blows up, right? Like, we never see that crash. He doesn't crash it. Right, or anything like that.
Where does he meet back with them, though? Doesn't.
So it's like, he goes into the Trade Federation's ship, blows it up, comes back, or does he even come back? Do we even ever see him? I can't remember.
I think he just flies away, woohoo! And as it's blowing up.
Now this is pod racing, and then and then I just think maybe the next time we see him, he's with
cutscenes or wherever. Yeah, he's back.
Is he just with Obi-Wan with the Padawan braid and the short haircut at the end of the movie?
Maybe so.
I don't know if
Qui-Gon was giving him some shit about taking off when he wasn't supposed to. He's like, I told you to stay where you were, man. You know, thanks for blowing up the ship.
I mean, he says that before he does it, but I don't know. No, that's not bothering me, but I don't think we see him again. So, but that's why I was saying, I was thinking that they were going to find his goggles or his helmet, you know, in there or something like that.
That'd have been
cool. Was going to be, you know, and it was going to be like, oh my goodness, like that was Anakin Skywalker's ship that he
just was like,
blew up.
This?
Like pulls out the helmet and the goggles and flips it behind his back. That would have been a little cool Easter egg. But
I think that is that ship, because it makes sense, because she was talking about the ship being hand built. They were only built for the Royal Guard. Of the Queen herself commissioned them, and so they would have been the same ships that took off. Why would it be on
Tatooine?
Well, that's a good
because
question.
Anakin lived there. Because Anakin would go there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
maybe maybe it'll bring that in with the Obi-Wan story. You know what I mean? Maybe Anakin, I don't know, stretching a little, zeroing it. We call that zeroing. Zeroing in.
Zeroing. Anakin Starfighter confirmed. Right.
Sorry, chat. Didn't mean to conjecture too much.
Pops says Fallen Order was a great game. I really like that game. My only critique of that game would be that, like, it's like a maze. It's like you get into these worlds, and at some point, it's like they're so beautiful and you can explore them, but like they're just like mazes. And so like when you have to leave, there's no rapid travel button. Like you don't just go back to the ship. Like you've got to take 20 minutes and like find your way.
Right.
And it's confusing. And even when you look at the map, you pull up the holo map, it's still confusing. Like it's still just not easy.
I remember that about that game now. Yeah, I do remember that about that game. Like you'd have to go back to the point to the unlock. You get the key way over here, and now there's no fast travel, so you have to go all the way back through the slidey thing.
Exactly, it takes forever. So. Oh man. So okay. He gets the ship. He goes for a joyride, right? He goes for a joyride, and that thing is a baller. Like that machine, that thing is just flying all over the place. It's got like the old, whatever, like 60 Chevy engine sticking out of the top, and it's kind of rattling, but like crazy fast. They get stopped by the two rebel guys who have been in a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian, right? Who I think they were going to be in the Rangers of the New Republic show, but then that got canceled. Because of something with Cara Dune. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Her Gina Carano.
Stop talking.
But anywho, yeah, I mean, like that was, he went back, and then what happened at the very end? And what am I missing? He gets back there.
He get busted, and then but it was the same funny conversation they had before with him the other time. He's like, "Did you used to fly a Razor Crest?" He's like,
"Yeah, that's right."
"Nope, not me." He's like,
"What?
I think it was you."
That's crazy. No, that's so a razor. I don't even know what that is, man. Oh man,
I love that humor. It's so dry, but it's good. It's just like, you know,
huh? No, nah. And so yeah, he gets away, he gets back, and that's right. And then that's pretty much it. And then the only character actually from Book of Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, shows up at the very end of the episode. Jumps down, offers him money to come help them, and he's like, "Nah, this one's on me," and that's it. And so that's it for the episode. So,
Why is she always sitting on a roof or something?
I don't know. Maybe that's just
always
her thing.
in the air.
That's Fennec's thing. Why is she always so high? Why is she always so high?
Wow.
But I'll give this episode like 9 out of 10 Beskar spears. Okay. I think it was a very good episode. My favorite episode of the series so far. What about you? What would you give this one?
Yeah, I would give it a 9, 10, easy. I think you're right. There's just that bit of clunkiness about his go away bit, but maybe that'll make more sense later. I'm sure that story is not over, you know?
No, I'm sure it's not. A little long at times, it went on a little long at times. Some of the scenes went on long, but is it weird, Templar? This is what we have to talk about. Is it weird that our favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett is an episode that was essentially the Mandalorian season 3, episode 1?
Right.
Boba Fett is not even in it at all.
Nope.
At all. Did you find that weird? I kept thinking, when is Boba Fett going to come in and meet him? And then it's a Mandalorian episode. And I thought that was so weird.
I know.
Isn't that weird?
It confuses me so much. We've been sitting here for 4 weeks not really enjoying what we're seeing, and for a multitude of reasons. And here we are with episode 5. I refuse to call it episode 5. I'm just going to call it The Return of the Mandalorian. Like it's a standalone thing.
It's like Mandalorian, season 2.5.
It's like Doctor Who, where they have a special one, and then they do another season. Right. But yeah, so I don't even consider this part of this. I guess it'll make sense in the next. It better make sense in the next episode, because if they go back to the same junk that they were giving us in the first 4 episodes with the story, then this is almost for naught. Is he going to take off for a while and go find Grogu, and then come back and help Boba Fett, or is he hanging out now, or are we going to see that, or are we not going to see that?
I think that's a good question, because there's only 2. So there's only 2 more episodes, right? I mean, it's 7 episodes, and obviously there's got to be some type of additional conflict built with the Pikes, and then Boba Fett's. He's got to ride a Rancor. Obviously, they promised us he's going to ride a Rancor, and so he's got to ride a Rancor into battle or something against the Pikes, however that works. But I've seen a lot of people online say they think that the next episode could be another Mandalorian episode, because didn't Mando say that he had to go visit Grogu first?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And he said, I gotta do one quick thing, and he's like, I'm gonna go see the kid or whatever it was that he said. And he obviously knows where he is and knows where Luke Skywalker is too. That's exciting.
Yeah, no more back to tanks and no more flashbacks. Yeah, again, is it heavy spoilers? He was talking about the back to tank. And, it's like, I do like the way they did the back to tank for the flashbacks at the beginning. It was like, oh, okay, this is a neat way to flash back without it seeming jarring, but like now he's healed, right? So there shouldn't be any more back to tank.
Right, they made a point of that. You've been full. That was weird too, how they just stopped everything. We don't, no more back to flashbacks, no more back to tank, okay. Right. And now we're just reboot.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, but I think that people are expecting the next episode to be, again, a primarily Mando episode of him going to visit Grogu and Luke Skywalker. And
that seems like what's going on.
And some of these are not leaks. Now, they could be basing this information off leaks, but and if it was Den of Nerds or somebody who I was watching a video of this afternoon, and I think he said that what he thinks is going to happen is like he's going to go visit Grogu and Luke, and then Luke is basically going to have a teaching moment with him about like the dark saber and about the Force.
Makes a ton of sense.
And that like Luke is going to be the one who's basically going to be able to teach Mando how to wield the dark saber, right? And kind of like maybe even help him discover he's Force sensitive or how to wield the Force, even in a small way.
Right.
That like maybe that would happen. And so that will then propel Mando into season 3 without season 3 having to be about Luke and Grogu. It's kind of like that would propel him into season 3.
Right. Here's a little bit more of Luke and Grogu, so you've got some idea what's going on with that story, just enough. And here's the evolution of Mandalorian for the next season. And this is how we're going to tie it into the Boba Fett.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll see. But now, is that going to be a whole nother episode? That would be too much. As much as I want to see Mando go find Luke and Grogu and have a conversation about the Force and the Darksaber, and to give Grogu, as you said, a little Beskar ball, just like the knob on the on the razor. I want to see all that. I don't necessarily want to see it in episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, because it's just, why is this even the Book of Boba Fett? Like, why? This should have been episode 1 of Mando season 3. This is really what it should have been.
Well, think about the timeline a little bit. We've got 2 episodes, right, to the finale. They couldn't do that episode we're talking about and then still have time to sufficiently set up what's going to happen with the end of this season. Like, we really don't know. We just know that there's a lot of people that want control over that territory. We don't know all the players yet. But if we're setting up with bringing the Mandalorian back in, which is a much more powerful character, and potentially bringing in Jedi, who is this character they're bringing in as the main protagonist? I think the season finale is going to be explosive. I think it should be. Whoever is going to be this main protagonist. I don't know about the Red Dawn angle. You know what I mean? Because we talked about that last time, that Darth Maul's dead at this point. So it's Kira, right? Kira.
Yeah,
that runs.
I think people think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the way they need me. So Mando just was like, I'm taking an episode. I'm gonna save this show. But
I don't know.
But yeah, it could be Kira. I've heard some rumors about her. I've heard a few other crazy rumors. I don't know if any of them are true, and I won't spoil anything for anybody just in case. But I was wondering too if this could be where they introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn. If they, not necessarily as head of the crime syndicate, but like, maybe like he's also searching the crime syndicates out to stop them because he's from the Empire. But a way to introduce him to get people excited about him in the Ahsoka series, maybe. But like the one thing this show lacks to me is a big bad. Right? Like to me, my favorite characters in shows are villains. They always are. And it's not because I think I'm an evil person. It's because maybe a little bit, but it's because villains do things, right? Like they're proactive, they're interesting. Like you go back and you look at Avengers. It's like, I love Infinity War. It's my favorite Marvel movie. Why? Because Thanos is introduced and he's awesome. And
I like Thanos.
he has a mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing things, and the good guys are reactive. They're just trying to stop him. That's always the way it is, right? Magneto wants to do things. He wants to accomplish things in the X-Men. He wants to, the mutant power and all this stuff. And the good guys, the X-Men, are always just trying to stop him, right? Like that's their thing.
Trying to get along.
Well, I mean, like the X-Men are a little more of a dysfunctional bunch than like the Avengers and stuff are, but like that's why I like villains. And so like in some of the Thrawn books I've read and watching Rebels, it's like I love Thrawn. He's smart, he's calculating, even though he's evil, he works for the Empire, but he's not totally evil either. But that's why people love Vader and Palpatine. They're trying to take over the world. They're powerful. That's why you like them. And the good guys are always just saying, that's not right, I'm going to stop you. And that's why I just never really loved the good guys. This show doesn't have a villain. It really doesn't.
No. Sarlacc's dead.
Sarlacc's dead.
They teased it was going to be the Hutts, and they're just like, nah.
They screwed off like right away.
We're good. Here's a Rancor. Have fun.
Have a Rancor.
Here. And then they're like, we're leaving because someone worse is coming. But we're not going to tell you who that is.
Yeah, and so so that can't be the Pikes, right? The Hutts can't be afraid of the Pikes.
No way.
Because if we're to believe that scene is true, meaning that like the Hutts were telling the truth that someone is coming and has laid a claim, and they're like, we suggest you get out of here too. Right. Sorry, we tried to kill you. Here's a Rancor. Don't find us and kill us. Like, let's just move on. Assuming that's true, who's worse? Like, it can't be the Pikes.
Thrawn makes a ton of sense.
Maybe is it Kira and Crimson Dawn? Like, because they've been with the Pikes too, and so
it's kind of like Dooku and the droid army. Dooku was the leader, but the droid army was doing all the dirty work. Maybe it's the same thing going on. Maybe the Pikes are working. They've allied themselves with the new Empire power, and they're gonna try and take back control of Tatooine.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I want to see a big bad, and they better not introduce the big bad in the last episode. Like, I like setup. Like, the next episode would be the time to like introduce the true villain, if there even is a true villain,
right?
And
at least hints of what's gonna come.
Yeah,
some kind of really good setup. They're on their way. This is what we're pinging. End of the episode, it's an Imperial starship heading this way. What's this all about? And then
maybe a shrouded figure that looks like he has a tint of blue on his face.
Right? Yeah.
Great ways to introduce, but they should introduce the villain that he's going to be battling in the final episode. And it really shouldn't just be a syndicate. Like, to me, that's just there's not enough conflict. Oh, no. Popsith nailed it. It's Darth Sidious again. He has come back.
He's back.
He's back. Secrets only the Sith knew. Palpatine is back again, and so
Well, if you think about this in the timeline, they probably would have been discovered. They must know the Emperor's still alive, and in some mutated capacity. They're rebuilding him. They're putting him back together at this point using Sith powers and all of the cloning technology that they're working with Moff Gideon. And I feel like Moff Gideon's job was to put the Emperor back on track, because that's his job. I think. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
We need Grogu's blood to re-infuse to the Emperor, because we know he was trying to suck the essence out of Rey to become alive again. So,
right,
they were probably just using dark magic and dark technology and dark Sith powers to keep the Emperor alive this whole time.
So, yes, that could be true, because doesn't this take place like 5 or so years after Return of the Jedi?
Exactly,
like, isn't that kind of what the timeline is?
Mm-hmm.
And Bad Batch, which I forget when exactly that takes place as well, but obviously like Moff Tarkin is still alive, and they hinted at the end of the Bad Batch about like cloning facilities, about the Empire like creating cloning facilities after they torched Kamino.
They destroyed Kamino just to eliminate the evidence that they were using cloning technology.
Right. So technically, since the Emperor does not reappear to us on screen and then get killed in The Rise of Skywalker, like, for what? Another 25 years.
Right.
Because you figure Ben Solo has to be born. And so, but maybe he has. Maybe it's been other versions of Palpatine, other deformed clones, and, maybe he's the best one.
Yeah. You figure Snoke must be somewhere around at this point.
Yeah, and we'll see, and they showed that they've had lots of Snoke clones. They showed in The Rise of Skywalker that tube, which is a weird choice, but that they've been working on him. So maybe they've been working on Palpatine, and maybe it's a half deformed version of Palpatine that is going to be the true bad guy here.
Right.
Right. Yeah, Jeremy says Bad Batch is right after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Right.
So it occurs right at Order 66.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it opens. It opens with Kanan
the
Jarrus,
speech, and they do the real speech, and then a little expanded speech, and then they take off, start killing the Jedi.
Yeah, because I think it shows Kanan Jarrus escaping in the first episode. I only watched that through once.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. It starts at Order 66. Okay, yep. That's right.
But since now we're kind of thinking that the Purge, the Mandalorian Purge, was part of the Jedi Purge. Why? So maybe we're finding out that Mandalorians, maybe they were all naturally Jedi Force sensitive, and that they were truly could become super Jedi, or had the potential,
or just
for that.
Formidable warriors, right? Who could,
right.
Who wouldn't fall in line. So
yeah.
So, I think that's good stuff. And so I just think it's weird so far in the show. We're 5 episodes in. Right, we're 5 episodes in. There's 2 episodes to go. I think it's weird that our favorite episode is a Mandalorian episode. It's not even about Boba Fett. Boba Fett is not even mentioned until Fennec Shan, I think, says his name, or maybe Mando says his name. But it's at the very, very, very end of the episode. It is only about Mando. I kept waiting for them to cut to Boba Fett. They didn't. I'm happy that they didn't, because the episode was better.
Right.
Because Din Djarin's just a better character, man. He is more interesting. He has better motivations for a good guy. He has, the relationship with Grogu and things that he's trying to accomplish. And so he's a proactive good guy. And there aren't a lot of proactive good guys out there.
No, he's like Dexter. A little bit.
He's like Dexter. A little bit. He did cut that dude in half. So
he did. That was great. That was really good. That was good. I'm glad that this episode rocked, because I was seriously considering, if this episode sucks again, what am I going to do? We're going to finish this? We're going to watch the last 2, or
I think you got to finish it. And it's even if it were bad, even if I hated this episode. And again, it's not like I hate the Book of Boba Fett. I don't hate the Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love the Book of Boba Fett. I mean,
right.
Mando had a couple of episodes too that were, total filler episodes where it was the
episode he met Cara Dune, I thought, was the worst of all of them. I didn't like that episode at all.
There was quite a few. I mean, there was the one where they break somebody out on the ship with the Twi'leks. And if you remember this, in the gangster Twi'leks, and they were the most over the top acting guys. Where I'm like, oh god, come on, come on, Jon Favreau. I mean, you gotta. The acting is so terrible in some of those things, but overall, Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, fantastic. The child, IG, the IG unit. It's so many other good things. But what's the good thing about the Book of Boba Fett so far?
This episode.
The fact that Mando had his own episode in his show.
The fact that we got a break from it for episode 5. That was the best part. Thanks for the break.
Yeah, is that really the best thing? I mean, there was some neat moments. The first time the twins, the Hutts, were introduced, I thought was really cool. And I was like, yes, the Hutts, new Hutts. That's awesome. And then, again, they come in. They're like, sorry about that. And here's a Rancor, and we're going to piss off back to Hutta. We're done. Right. So that was kind of a bummer. But, seeing the Rancor, and for some of the effects being so-so, the Rancor I thought looked fantastic.
Looked good.
The effects on the Rancor I thought looked good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just so many weird things. The fight with Chrysanthemum. There's just some things like that I can't get over.
It's bad writing in the fight scenes. It
is bad writing. You don't just open the Bacta tank, grab him and throw him and then yell. It's like you open the Bacta tank and shoot him in the head if you're really trying to kill him. I mean, so yeah, that stuff bothers me. But
like continuity. Earlier, you were talking about the scene where the Mandalorian and the other Mandalorian were getting ready to fight over the Darksaber. They're out on the scaffold. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating because I'm afraid of heights. And
right.
They both set their jetpacks down. Okay, so that's continuity. That's in the storytelling telling you that we know that these jetpacks, they can fly all over the place and shoot each other and be way more interesting. We're going to take the jetpacks off, so that's out of play, and we're going to show you that. Even though it's a little silly, we're going to show you that. Like the scene in episode 1 where Boba Fett's, they're getting attacked by all these dudes. Everyone's looking at the top, from that top scene down, the jetpack. Turn your jetpack on, fly out of there, dude.
Right.
That's just like, that's poor writing. That's like, okay, they needed to explain why he wouldn't do that. Or is the thing broke? Is it out of gas? Is it not there? You know what I mean?
And you can fix that with a sentence of dialogue.
Oh,
like
yeah.
afterwards, Fennec Shan says, "Why didn't you just fly away?" And he says something like, "I'm not going to leave you there alone." Done. Right. Now we know why he didn't fly away.
The first strike does damage somehow. Right. The first strike, lucky strike, does damage to the jetpack. Boom. And it fizzles out. You know. Yes,
and so and you can do it subtly.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because like I remember in Attack of the Clones when Jango Fett gets run over by the Reek, and then Mace Windu's running at him, right? Mm-hmm. And he cuts his head off. Everyone's like, why doesn't Jango fly away? That's so stupid. And I'm like, the movie showed you that the Reek ran him over.
Yeah.
And it was sparking. His jetpack was sparking.
Exactly.
And if you watch it like quickly or in slow-mo, you see that as Mace Windu was swirling around, he tried to fire it up and it sputtered. And then he got his head cut off. It's like the movie showed us.
Right.
But in that, for him to have a jetpack, and like you said, and then they all surround him and they all just are kind of standing there.
Yeah.
And it's like, wouldn't you all be stabbing or poking or shooting him? Like do something. Like that's
two pieces of choreography. That whole scene makes sense.
Yes.
Or a line or words, anything.
That's that is bad writing. That's bad writing. It's like, come on, you got to give us better than that. It's not just like, oh, Boba's in trouble or he got beat up. Come on.
Right. Now, do you think that they made episode 1, 2, 3? They're editing. They're getting ready to release. I don't know how that process works. I don't know if all the episodes are completed before they start the season, or if they're releasing them as quickly as they can. I have no idea. But they're editing. They watch the things on the first 2 or 3 episodes, and they're all sitting in the room. They're like, what did we do here? And they're like, we got to bring Mando back right now and fix all this stuff real quick.
I mean, I don't think they did that. I do know that sometimes things seem awkward because they do film out of order. So,
right.
Like they may be filming the finale first because that's the location they have access to first, or those are the sets they need first. And so like they do film out of order, which sometimes can make things edited weird because an actor or a character, may not quite know how they should have acted because they haven't acted that way yet, We
haven't done that scene before, right?
Yes. And so like sometimes that can happen. But yeah, I don't know. I just still the first few episodes, and like Pops says here that I was saying for a while, it's like, what's the thing? Mando season 1, episode 1, Baby Yoda. That's the hook.
Right.
What is the hook in the Book of Boba Fett? What's the
Mandalorian?
Hook?
Apparently,
the Mandalorian has.
Maybe that was the plan. Maybe they're trying to do a complete merger of all of these different seasons and episodes, so that it's just so intertwined that you just never know who you're going to see show up in an episode or where the plot's going to go. It seems a little complicated. It seems a little dangerous for writing purposes. Like Lost.
I mean,
kind of like Lost.
I know. Well, it's like I like the MCU thing that they're doing. The Star Wars cinematic universe. I don't know what they call it or not, but like and like intertwining the shows. Yeah, that's great. It creates familiarity. People love cameos. Love all that stuff. But like a Mandalorian cameo is different than giving him an episode, a full episode in a show called The Book of Boba Fett.
It doesn't make
sense. It seems so weird, and I feel so weird about the fact that it's my favorite episode. And again, good, very good. Yeah. Not super great, not like where I'm like, oh man, I've got to tell somebody about this episode. Same thing. Like it's not like the Luke Skywalker entrance, of course, at the end of the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian, which I have watched 1,000 times. And let me ask you this: do you ever watch reactions on?
I do sometimes.
On YouTube?
Not a lot, a little bit, yeah.
Where like people like literally live react, like they're watching it, and so
I haven't seen much of that. No.
So like there are tons out there for the season 2 Mando finale when Luke appears, and like it chokes me up. I can admit this live right now. Like I get choked up watching other like grown men get choked up.
Oh
like, watching it. Like it like literally. It's so great. And then I watched the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm like, the highlight of the Book of Boba Fett is the fact that Boba Fett was not in this episode. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. It is. I'm telling you, I don't want to call. I think we should recanonize it right now, and it should be just Return of the Mandalorian. Just a standalone mini feature. To me, the whole thing looked like a feature film. It looked like I just get dropped right back into the center of Rogue One, and it felt like a feature film. It moved like a feature film. It walked and talked like a feature film. Whereas Boba Fett's just like watching a TV program, any old TV program. There's just nothing.
So I agree. So Bryce Dallas Howard directed this one, and she did 1 or 2 episodes in the Mandalorian. You know, Ron Howard's daughter, and she's an actress and director. And yeah, she did some good ones in Mando season 1. Or at least one episode, because I think they did a different director in every episode in season 1.
I think so too.
Of Mando.
Yeah.
And so, like, we were talking about earlier, some of those shots, those stagnant shots of the Mando for like 5 straight minutes of like following him around. Those are tough to do, and they're cool shots. Yeah. Took a long time to get there, but still really cool shots. And you're right, it felt more cinematic.
Oh,
it felt a lot more cinematic.
Immediately felt different. Immediately, like wow.
Then the bike chase, you know, the speeder bike Power Ranger chase, and like that did not feel cinematic at all. Like not at all. No,
I was watching the Power Rangers. Literally that bad of a production. I'm not knocking. I'm sorry, Please accept my apology, Power Ranger fans.
Rangers fans.
I love the Power Rangers. I really like that. The last movie they did was good, but I don't want to anger anybody. You know. We don't need that.
Don't you? No, that's what gets views. You have to offend people. That's what gets views. We should just attack everyone. That's how we do it.
Oh, so good. Get some of that.
That's the new one?
Rogue Dead Guy.
Rogue Dead Guy. You said someplace in Oregon?
Yep. They do a bunch of really good beers. If you've probably seen them, they make an IPA that comes in a green package that's everywhere. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but
IPA in a green package. Interesting.
They also make a stout called who's the guy from Russia that was like a Satanist? Not Nosferatu. You know the guy I'm talking.
Stalin? What are you talking about?
No, the long hair and the beard.
Rasputin?
That's the guy. Yeah. They've got a Rasputin stout. Imperial stout, which they make, which is really good. It's like 9.5%.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's too strong for me, man. Oh man. I like my 5 to 6% beers. I could have one strong beer, but like I can't drink like 3 10% beers. Like I'd rather have 6 beers, and like relax and just kind of drink for a while than just like get hammered drunk after 3 beers.
First night of the playoffs, the wild card night, we went up to some friends out of town. Usually when we're with them, I party a little harder than I normally do. And I think I had 6 or 8 beers and a good solid amount of cannabis as well. And I had a very, very good nap on the way home. Very, very good nap. Deidre woke me up just as we got to the junk food store. She's like, "This is your last shot at any redemption for your." She's nudging me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's get some chips."
Let's get some. We need some Funyuns, man. Oh, we got to get some Funyuns. All right, well let's finish this up.
Yeah.
Final 2 episodes. Do we have any idea what's going to happen? Other than Boba Fett riding a Rancor, I like the idea of Mando going to visit Luke and Grogu. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I hope they do that. But I got nothing. Like they haven't really hinted at who the villains. It better not just be the Pikes. Like Boba better not just like ride a Rancor and kind of destroy a generic army.
and
tell the Pikes to leave. Like, that would be weak. That'd
mediocre,
be really weak.
but yeah, very weak. Yeah, there has to be something big coming, and it has to be explosive. And I think this foreshadowed that, because I didn't see this coming. I had no idea that was going to happen. It blew me away, and it was so good. And now I'm like, there's some hope, because if they did that, there's no way that they're not aware that the writing's bad, and there's no way they're not aware of that,
Aren't they, though?
Did they tame it down deliberately to like really build up some kind of mega climax? I don't think so. That would be lame. Who would do that? Be like Tom Brady saying, I'm gonna go out and win half the games this season and then just barely make it in the playoffs just to make it more interesting for myself.
And then Tom Brady, a Michigan man, of course, but he went down to Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Oh, yes.
I'm a lifelong Lions fan. I'm from Michigan. And so when they traded Matt Stafford, I said the Lions made a huge mistake. They got a huge haul for him. They got a ton of draft picks from LA. But I was like, I'm telling you, he's going to go to the playoffs and win his first playoff game with LA, because he is the best thing about the Lions. Everyone thinks he was the one holding them back. I'm like, you're insane.
No.
I watch other NFL games and I'm like, most quarterbacks, other than like a handful, are not as good as Matt Stafford. And then like, I watched him drop dimes to Cup and to everybody. Odell Beckham, like he was just dropping dimes that whole game.
So accurate.
Like, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Stafford's
all those playoff games were really everyone. That Kansas City game.
The Kansas City Buffalo game.
Wow.
So, you told me that Buffalo was going to win that game, right? And
I thought they would, yeah.
And I thought you were right too. I thought they could. It was like Josh Allen is like maybe the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, and he was amazing.
Oh yeah.
And Mahomes was, I would say, good, not as good as Josh Allen was. I thought Josh Allen was unbelievable. Like Tyreek Hill and a few of those guys made Patrick Mahomes' stats look the same, but he didn't make the plays that Josh Allen made. Do you know what I mean?
But I think it was Mahomes' best game of the season.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Even in no regular season, it was his best game, I think.
But I mean, like, it's one thing when Josh Allen runs around for 40 yards back and forth, eluding tackles, and then throws a dime 40 yards to somebody in the end zone. Right. Whereas Mahomes hikes it and throws a little 10-yard slant pass to Tyreek Hill, and then he dodges 20 tackles and runs it in 60 yards. It's like, that's not the same thing, right? It's like Josh Allen worked way harder for his yards there.
Oh, yeah.
But that game was fantastic.
So good.
There was like 6 lead changes in like the last 2 minutes.
And it was clean. Nobody got hurt. And there wasn't any crazy bad calls. There's always one, but yeah, it was so fun to watch that game.
What do you think about the overtime rule? Real quick. I know we're talking football now, not Star Wars, but like, I hate the fact that like Buffalo lost the coin toss and lost the game. Like, I really don't like that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. I guess you can't play forever. They would just keep playing back and forth forever because but
those two teams might have. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know about that. But if you score a touchdown, you've got 10 minutes. You score a touchdown and the team still has another chance, they're going to come back and score a touchdown, and then your time's out and you're in overtime again.
So and the problem is because then they've got 4 downs guaranteed. Like, if you get the ball back and the other team scores a touchdown, you need a touchdown. Now you don't have to worry about punting. You have 4 downs to get a first down every single time. Yep. And so, like, I get it. And I even wonder about one side each, one possession each, and then like dueling first and goals from the 10, like over and over again. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way that I thought the Bills played so well and they had that game won so many times, and then they lost a coin toss and lost the game, and it's like, that sucks.
It's a game. It's the ultimate game is the coin toss, the original game,
The original game.
Right. Flip a bone.
Well, flip a Rancor bone. Is Book of Boba Fett right now going to satisfy you at the end, Templar? Do you think yes or no? Do you think it's going to change your tune?
I'm perked up. It better. I think they have to do something amazing. They have to really set a hook, because I don't think people are interested in season 2 next year if the hook's not set.
Yeah, I got to agree. If something dramatically awesome doesn't happen, I don't know. Is there even going to be a Book of Boba Fett season 2? I don't think we know that.
Who knows?
Sure
maybe it's a one-off.
Yeah, could just be like a one-off thing to show you what Boba Fett did after he escaped.
What's the next scheduled release series? What's the next one?
I'm not sure. I think Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and Andor are all slated to come out this year.
I think Andor is supposed to be out first because that's the one they've been talking about the longest.
And spy thrillers aren't typically my thing, but I'm actually excited about Andor. I actually think that could be good because I like the Rogue One crew. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that one could be good. A little more
dark
like
side,
darker and real.
Rebellion, yeah, the reality of the rebellion, what they had to do to make it happen. You know, who they had to kill, who they had to assassinate. You know.
So Pops says before we leave, he says, Justin, what's something you want to see? Jeremy, same question. So, what's something you want to see at the end of Book of Boba? Like, not what would be perfect, but like, I want to see Boba. I want to see a villain introduced because right now I don't think there's a primary villain. I want to see a primary villain introduced that even if Boba doesn't fully defeat in the finale, that like he thwarts or, you know, or creates a rivalry with, you know, or something like that. I want to see a buildup of a big bad. I would be so disappointed if it's just Boba rides a Rancor and knocks all the pikes off their train. And that's how it ends. Like, I really hope that's not it. I want to see
right off into the sunset.
New plays, yeah, you know, like I want to see a villain that can be a future villain, maybe not just for Boba Fett, but maybe for Mando also. You know, like whether it's a new villain or a villain we know that hasn't been introduced yet. Like maybe it's Thrawn, maybe it's a different Hutt, right? Maybe it's Kira, maybe I don't know, or maybe it's a totally new character that they're going to introduce. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. But give me somebody to either love or hate, depending on what kind of villain they are. That's what I want to see.
What I want to, they have to heat this show up, and it has to get dark. It's just not. It's not what it should be. It's not dark, seedy, underworld, murderous. Boba Fett's too nice. He's way too nice. He's got to get mean. He's got to go back to the Boba Fett that we saw in the Mandalorian episode, where he just comes out and kicks everyone's ass, 100%, no question. Boba Fett, I'm winning. Give me my shit back. I want to see that Boba Fett back. I have not seen that Boba Fett in this season at all, not once.
Yeah, it's like he was that Boba Fett at the end of Mando season 2 in the credits when he shows up and just kills Bib Fortuna and takes the throne. And then it's like we pick up and he's just like, I want everybody to respect me and I want to be nice to everybody.
All right.
And
here's some cake.
Here's some cake.
Cake and ice cream.
You know, I don't know. It's like Boba Fett is like that villain that everyone loves, but they're Disneyfying him where they're like trying to turn him into, at best, morally ambiguous to where it's like, well, he's not a bad guy per se. He may do bad things, but he's a good guy at heart. Do you know what I mean? It seems like that's what they're trying to do, where they give him these backstory lines where he's like, I'm so sick of my people being killed because of the decisions of idiots. And so like, I just want to do something better now. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a totally 180 motivation for Boba Fett.
He's a union organizer.
yeah, I know. It's like, now maybe that's a natural progression. Like, I don't know what he would be. You know, he's aged up, but you know, let's just say he's 20 or 30 or whatever is, you know, maybe he's 50 if he's not aged up, or if he is aged up. But it's like, so maybe he could get to that point where he has been close to death now and gone through this journey. And he's like, no, I don't want to just be in the middle of a melee. Well, then why take over a crime lord's seat if you don't want to be there?
Right. Don't take over the hedge fund if you just want to invest. You know.
There you go, Jedi John. Go watch it. It's not technically Boba Fett episode 5. It's actually something else.
Yeah, watch it. You'll enjoy it though. It's good.
He was like Thanos in the becoming of Endgame, the one who has the garden. What are you talking about?
Thanos goes and hangs out and grows beets, Swiss chard and stuff.
That's right.
He's all of a sudden he's content.
Yeah, he takes the throne. We cut back to him. He's in a garden picking plums, and he's wearing cloth clothes. He's got the stove. He's making some stew. Yeah.
What did I do that for? This is fucking boring.
Yeah. And then, that was character assassination with Thanos too, by the way, because they went back to like just evil Thanos, where it's just like he just wants to kill everyone. They like took away his whole like morally ambiguous purpose. But anyways, well, that's it. That's it for us. Mando season 3, episode 1 / Boba Fett episode 5 was pretty good. It was pretty solid. Probably our favorite. It did not have an appearance from Boba Fett.
No.
I mean, what would that be like if you're watching Jurassic Park and then there's no dinosaurs and it just like, cuts to some other random show, like murder mystery show on the mainland? I don't know. But it was weird. But that's it. Jeremy, thank you so much. Before we go, just a reminder, if you like Funko Pops and collecting, Jeremy at Templar is the king of mystery boxes. Templar, shout yourself out before we go. What do you got going on right now?
I'm building a box.
Okay. Like just a random box?
Our 2-year anniversary is coming right up. February is going to be 2 years for us. And nice. I am building a Grail box. I'm going to wait until it's ready. I'm not going to force this one. I tend to force boxes out. So this one, I'm going to wait till it's ready. And it is going to be something else. It's going to be the biggest box we've ever done. Hands down.
Oh, really?
So, yep. Big time.
Like a short run, high value box or like?
Exactly. Big Grails. All big Grails. Big stuff. Yep. It's going to be good. But collecting a little bit here, a little bit there, setting my personal collections kind of be part of it. So there's some interesting stuff coming out of there. Some stuff, really good stuff. 1,008-piece Supermans coming out of my collection.
Ooh.
I've got another green chrome Batman that I just pulled in the collection. So that one's going to go in there. Oh,
nice.
Pretty. It's going to be nice. February.
Well, check them out. TemplarPops.com. Templar Pops. Is it _ Templar Pops? Or what's your Instagram?
Templar_Pops. Yep. That's it.
Templar_Pops. So if you like collecting Funko Pops mystery boxes, check him out. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
We'll be back next Wednesday for Mando season 3, episode 2, hopefully, or maybe Book of Boba Fett episode 6. I don't know. We'll see. But
could be Luke and Grogu episode 1.
It could be. That would be fantastic.
Right.
It could take us to episode 2. It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So, that's it for us. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye.